Hey everyone, Jami and I are taking June off, but we don't want to leave you with nothing to listen to. So we are re-airing some podcast guest interviews that we did. This week is the Fantasy Writers Toolshed podcast, where Jami and I both talked with Richie about writing a series and about branding.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Writers Toolshed. I'm your host Richie Billing, and today I'm delighted to be joined by the hosts of the brilliant Wish I'd Known Then podcast series and two brilliant writers in their own right, Sarah Rosette and Jami Albright. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. We're happy to be here.
We are.
Thank you very much for joining me. I was fortunate enough to be a guest on your show not long ago. We had a great chat. And because I've spoken for a lot longer, I'm sure. And that's why we decided to hook up again. Really good interests that we've never covered on the show before. Sarah, I understand that you've written a book on how to write a series. We've never covered writing series, and like Fantasy is obsessed with like mega long series.
Yes.
So yeah, it sounds perfect. And Jami, you are a bit of a whiz on the marketing front, especially for book launches.
I try, yeah.
No, we are going to talk all about that today. But to start with, it'd be nice for you to both introduce yourselves to any listeners who may be unfamiliar with you and your work. Who'd like to go first?
I'll go. I write mysteries. Currently I'm writing a 1920s historical mystery. I've always loved mysteries, and that's kind of where I spent my whole career. I started out in cozy mystery. I just enjoy the puzzle aspect of it. And my books now are more reminiscent of like a Agatha Christie type whodunit set in the past in England. They're usually country house mysteries. And I've done a couple of spinoffs. I've done some other series that are like cozy adjacent, I guess you'd say. I have a travel mystery series that's cozy adjacent. So my book that I wrote was like everything that I learned about writing a series, I put into the book so that other people wouldn't have to figure all this stuff out on their own, hopefully. And I live in Texas. I'm married. I have two grown kids. I like to watch K-dramas and Jane Austen adaptations. And that's about it. It's really hot here, so we spend a lot of time indoors. So watching TV is a great hobby.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm Jami Albright, and I write small town Texas rom-coms. I have two different series. One is a Runaway Bride series, and the other is just a small town set in a small town sports rom-com. I also do author consulting, and I lead some workshops. And yeah, I actually like to watch British mysteries. That's kind of my thing. I don't write them, and I probably never would, because I don't think I'm smart enough to do that. But those are the things I like. Married, from Texas. We both live in Houston, and we've been doing the podcast for about 5 years now?
Yeah, we started in 2020.
Yeah. And
accidentally.
Yeah, accidentally in 2020. And then, yeah, I'm a mom, got grown kids, and I have 6 grandkids. So, yeah.
Both
a lot going on. Yeah.
And both writing genres, which have had a nice bit of a spike of popularity over the last few years. How have you found sort of romance is probably the most popular genre at the moment.
Yeah.
Cozy mysteries, a massive spike as well. Especially over with like Richard Osman's books.
Yes,
are they like cozy mysteries, or are they?
I think they have the tone of a cozy mystery. Some of the elements are not quite, but I think a cozy reader would enjoy them. So they're not, if you read that and then you go looking for something exactly like it, you're probably not going to find it. I feel like it's one of those that kind of pulls in a bunch of different elements. So it appeals to a really broad spectrum of people, but the tone is very cozy.
Nice. I mean,
it's interesting because what Sarah writes now is different from cozies. It's still a mystery, and it's still, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a gentler kind of mystery. But it's not cozy. Yeah.
Yeah. There's like, you know how every genre, once you get kind of down in the weeds, it gets very granular. And so mine, I would say, are more There's some that's classified as traditional mysteries.
Mm-hmm.
And cozies lately is going more towards super light, lots of cats and dogs and cooking. And I mean, that seems to be what people think of now, where in the past it was more general. Now it's getting more
granular.
Divided out, granular. Yeah. So mine are more traditional mysteries with some fun elements in them, but not as light as some cozies.
Right.
It's great, isn't it? Like how genres change and attitudes change. And that's why I love fantasy so much, is because you can bring in all these different things. Like romance is huge. Cozy fantasy is also huge.
Yes.
So
yes.
it's
That's
just
booming.
goes to show, yeah.
Yeah.
So in terms of like, if I was thinking, because we've got two sides, experts, both sides. I mean, we've got you both write series, but marketing generally comes after the writing's done. So I think it'd be a good place to start with the series writing. So as a specialist in series books, what do you think the allure is in writing this prolonged story? I speak to so many fantasy writers and like especially new writers. I was one of them. It's like you don't just plan one book in your mind. You don't go, I'm going to write a book.
Right.
I'm gonna write a 5-book series. It's like,
yes,
why would
that's
you
what
do that to
people do.
yourself?
Yeah.
So what's the allure?
Well, I think readers love going back to a familiar place. Yeah. And if you create, especially in cozy mystery and the mysteries I write, people want to escape the world and all that's going on. And so they want to go to this place that is like a cute little town. It's safe. Even though there's a murder, it's a more intellectual puzzle in a lot of cozies and mysteries. And so they want to return to this place where they know the characters, they're familiar, they like the setting, the atmosphere, the tone. And then they get to see the characters change over time. People fall in love and get married, and they have people, that become a found family. And I think that's what draws people back a lot. Even like in Jami's books, they're a linked series, not necessarily the same main character. Would you say it's the same?
Yeah, romance? Definitely. It's in romance, the standalones in a series, which they're all set in the same place. They have the same characters weaving through it, but each book has a different hero and heroine. So, but people love that because they love to revisit those characters from the earlier books, but also the shared worlds, like you can branch off and have a total, like in mine, if I were to do that, I could have a totally different town, but they still come back to the other town occasionally, or people from that town come to their new town, and that's a great way to expand a series. Yeah.
Yeah. When I think about the series I've read and sort of raced through, probably like one of the most recent ones was a historical fiction one, and it was about this character called Nestos of Plataea. And he was sort of like a semi-historical figure, but he was quite instrumental in the story to defeating the Persians. And you just want to, you see him grow up, and then you obviously 5 or 6 books in, you want to see this final battle with the Persians and see what happens in the end. And like you say, it's that character and that journey and that change, the development, the whole arc. It just, you're hooked so much, doesn't it?
Yeah,
you really
do.
Yeah. Yeah, you really get invested.
I mean, my favorite fantasy is Game of Thrones. It's like of too many characters, probably. But it's the characters that keep you invested, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that was one thing that I had to learn over time. I was so worried, like Jami was saying, mysteries are hard to write. And I was so worried about the plot and making it make sense and having good clues and the misdirects. But then the thing that readers talk about is the characters. And that's what they want, especially like in mystery. If you have a romantic subplot, they really want those characters to get together, but they really don't, like they like the tension, but they want them to get together. But as the author, you want to drag it out as long as you can, at least in my series. Jami's series are different because romance is different. That would be like fighting words if they didn't get together at the end.
Exactly.
So what do you think is the most important element to writing a successful series of books?
I think you need to know what kind of series you want to write. And I didn't even realize there were different kinds of series when I started. I read mostly cozy because that was my favorite. And I was like, okay, I'm writing a cozy mystery. So, of course, it's a series. But I didn't think at all about future books because, it was a big hurdle just to finish one book. Mm-hmm. So, when I got done with that, I was like, oh, okay, so she's got to be involved in another mystery. And with a cozy, you're dealing with an amateur sleuth. And the longer the series goes on, the harder and harder it becomes to get her involved in a mystery in a logical way. Because, you might stumble across a body, but to find, 5 to 10, that's like a lot. And then you're doing her friend found the body, or somebody has been unjustly accused. So it just gets harder and harder. So if you can think about how you can set it up in the beginning so that you can continue the series, and it doesn't have to be mystery, like any genre, you need to figure out, is your series open-ended or is it closed? Like a flat arced character is perfect for a long-running series that you don't really have plans to turn off anytime soon, like a Perot, a Miss Marple,
Jack Reacher.
Yeah, they kind of drop in, they do their thing, and then they go on, and it's easy to extend that because you don't have such a big character arc with them. Yeah. But if you have a protagonist that's doing this huge project and they achieve their goal, then does the series end there after 2, 3, 4, 5 books? If you want to continue it, you have to give them a new goal, change something. So like if you can figure out what structure you want to use, and certain genres lean more towards certain structures. I feel like mystery leans towards this really open-ended, flat-arced character, whereas maybe science fiction and fantasy is more like a robust arc where the character goes on this journey, completes it, and then the series ends. So I think if you can have that in mind, that helps a lot. And I think romance is similar, right?
It's similar. I would. First of all, it's hard when you finish that book and you're like, oh, good, I finished a book. Oh gosh, I probably need more books. And if you don't bake that into the first one, as far as characters, or at least for some foreshadowing or something, it's hard then to carry it through. But I think one of the most important things in a series is having something that the readers can connect to. In a series like Sarah writes, it's the main character. It's our protagonist. In series like I write, it's the town and some of the people in the town. Like in my Bride series, I have an Aunt Honey, and Aunt Honey is in all the books, and she's very flamboyant and crazy. But also the town itself is a character in a lot of ways. So if you write a series like a standalone in a series, or standalones in a series where you don't have that one consistent character going through, if you can create side characters that are consistent, or like I've read some books that were like a football team was the consistent thing, or like a club is the consistent thing throughout all the books, and all the characters kind of come in and out of that. But there needs to be some consistency of some kind to really tie the whole thing together.
Interesting what you say about side characters, because sometimes they can steal the show altogether.
Yeah, they can. You have to be very careful. Yeah. Exactly.
But then that opens new doors, then, doesn't it, for you to go and expand the series in an interesting way. So where do you think writers go wrong when it comes to writing series? I mean, we've said the most important elements, but what do you think the biggest mistakes are? Because the last thing you want to do as a writer is commit yourself to hundreds of thousands of words only for people not to read.
Yeah. I think sometimes if you limit, like, you need to have a world big enough that you can support a series. And whether that's like the town they live in, or maybe it's a theme you want to explore. Like if you want to write about somebody who's a rare book collector or something like that, there are endless stories, or art. There's endless missing paintings that you could have for your theme that will run through your series. But if you make your world too small, you may explore everything in 2 or 3 books, and then you're like, man, I just don't know. But there are ways to solve that. Like you could bring in some new characters, you could give your protagonist a new interest or hobby that will launch them on this other new arc of things to explore. But I think that can be a problem. Can't think of any more that.
Not planning ahead. I mean, we already said that, but not really planning ahead. I think can be a problem. I think not sticking with the series longer than you should. If you've got a couple of books out, 3 books out, and the series hasn't really gone anywhere, then cut your losses and start a new series. That's one of the big issues. People hang on to series, I think, longer than they should.
And sometimes people do that because the series is selling and their readers want more. Hardly ever do readers say, oh no, I'm done with that. If they love a series, they want more. And so I know authors keep writing in the same series when their heart is really not in it and they want to do something else. And so sometimes it might be better just to wrap that up and, write a spinoff with one of those characters that's so interesting that hopefully your readers would follow them. I mean, there's a risk in doing that.
Yeah.
But it might be better for you creatively, because if you write something that you don't like, it's going to be just drudgery.
Yeah. It sounds like a chore. So in your experience of writing series, what do you think has been the best piece of advice that you've found or that you've implemented that has made sure that you've sort of ticked all the boxes, you've done things like you said, Jamie, about like foreshadowing, making sure that you invest people in the next book?
I'm going to answer this by saying the thing that I didn't do that I should have done.
Yeah.
Don't be like me. So my Bride series, there are 5 books. In those 5 books, there's a rock star, there's a former child star, there's a millionaire, and there's a country music star, and then the DA. But, some pretty famous people live in this tiny, small town. Well, when I was thinking about doing the next series, I created an entire new town and an entire new place in Texas, far away from my original town, so that there's no overlap at all. And because I thought, well, I can't have a famous football player from this same small town. I mean, why are all these famous people flocking to this town? That was a huge mistake. I should have 100% done that, because readers would have loved it. I was thinking logically and not emotionally. And emotionally, my readers would have loved that because they would get to see the other characters, even though this was a new series. So that's what I should have done. I should have made the second series a spinoff of the first in some way or another. And I didn't do that. So that's the thing you should not do. And now it's too late. I mean, I've created this entire world in the second series, and I can't change it to fix it. I just have this second series. Yeah.
You write a third series where the 2 meet?
I could, because one's in North Texas, one's in South Texas. I could maybe meet them in the middle somewhere. Yeah.
Have some overlap there.
Yeah. Texas is big enough. I could do it. But that's for me. I think that had I done that, I would have seen more read through, because people that read my Bride's books go on to read the other series. But a lot of times people that read the other series don't go on to read my Bride's books as much. So I think I would have had more read through had I done that.
What about you, Sarah? What do you think?
Well, I would say I think I stumbled into this. I didn't read it or plan it, but in my most recent series, I decided I can't plan out like a long series. Like my brain can't handle it. Even when I'm writing a book, I can only handle like a little portion at a time. Like I'll know the whole arc kind of, but I can't do the whole thing. So I can't do, a 10-book outline of this is what I'm going to do for the next 10 books. But what I decided to do is like I would have a plan for the first 3 books, would have a general theme of like, the main character's name is Olive, and she figures out that she's good at solving mysteries in the first 3 books. And I was like, okay, if the series does well, I can continue it. And so then it did. And so then like the next 3 books, I thought, okay, if the first 3 books do well, then the next 3 can be about her, taking on cases from family and friends. And then the next 3 books can be she's becoming more of a professional detective where people that she doesn't know are bringing her cases. And even just that little like organizational thing in my mind helped me figure out kind of how her arc would go. And it was enough that I could kind of stay within it and give it, had leeway enough that I could change it. And it also gave me a point that I could end it if it wasn't going well. And I didn't want readers to not be happy and wondering, oh, well, what happened? I left them hanging, at book 4, and it really, that arc needed 2 more books, to close out. So that to me has helped me a lot when I think about a series now. I think, okay, 3 books, and then we'll see where we're going from here.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a great answer.
Yeah. So I think we've done a good job on the series front.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let's say our series is written. Now it's time to get out to the world. One of the biggest challenges we all face as writers, and especially if we go down the independent route, is getting it out there and finding the right people.
Yeah.
So, Jami, this is your area.
Yeah, well, I was fortunate. You said you need to write the book and then marketing comes, and I would sort of disagree with you on that, because I think you need to think about marketing when you're writing your book, and because you need to be thinking about who this book is for. The worst thing anybody can say to me when I'm doing consulting is, if I ask them, well, what genre does your book fall in, or, something like that. And they say, well, it's like nothing anyone's ever read before. And I'm like, oh, dang it, that's not good. Because it needs to be, readers like similar but different. They like the familiar. And so when you're writing, it needs to be similar enough to the other books in the genre you're writing in for them to be comfortable, and then different enough that they go, oh, that's fun. And that's tricky. That's hard. But so when you're writing, you need to be thinking about, who am I writing for? I would also say building a newsletter before you release 100% will change the trajectory of your writing career. I was able to do that with just a preview of my book, and I had 1,200 people on my newsletter before the book released, and I knew that at least those 1,200 people wanted my book. If no one else bought it, those 1,200 people were interested in my book. But what happened was, because they were the right readers, they were rom-com readers, when they started buying the book, it populated my also bots with the other rom-com books that they had written, and that told Amazon who to send my book to. So it told Amazon to send my book to other rom-com readers, and because of that, that book stayed very sticky at between 1,000 and 3,000 in the Amazon store for 6 months until the second book came out. And then, it continued, but without anything from me except some very small ads. It stayed in that space because Amazon was delivering it to the right people and showing it to the right people. So really understanding genre, understanding reader expectations within that genre while you're writing is so important, because then you can present this book to those readers and say, this is exactly what you want. This is exactly what you want. And know that you're fulfilling that promise.
So do you kind of hone in on similar books that are popular or similar authors? Like
Yeah, I know what they do. I don't think I copied them, but I understand what they're doing. Like, I'll look at their blurbs and I'll adjust my blurbs to the blurbs in the top 50, especially the top 20. If my blurb doesn't look like theirs or have the same sort of tone as theirs, then I adjust it, because I know that's what readers are looking for. And I've changed my blurbs multiple times, mostly because of that, because things change. Like when I started writing back in 2017, when I put out Running from a Rock Star, I wrote that book in third person, close POV. So, but now most romances and rom-coms are written in first person, usually first person present, but first person past is pretty common too. So the later books that I wrote, the new series is written in first person.
Nice.
So.
And did you notice a difference then?
No, I don't notice a difference at all. I mean, and people will even say, I didn't realize your book was third person, because it's very close POV. And so I don't think people really notice it. Also, like Lucy Score, who is very big in my genre, she writes a lot of her books still in third person. So, it just depends.
Yeah, I would say romance changes so much faster, I think, than a lot of other genres.
Yeah.
So I don't think I've updated my blurbs over time. I'll go back and look at them and think, oh, these can be tightened up. But I haven't changed but mystery seems to be pretty standard. Whereas I think romance covers have changed quite a bit. Now they're much more illustrated, right? And so you have to keep more of an eye on that, I think, than I do.
Right. Yeah, I do. And probably even more than like fantasy. Fantasy's pretty much, I don't know that it changes that much. I read a lot of fantasy, so I don't know that I haven't noticed a lot of changes in the way the stories are told. But yeah, so that's really the biggest thing I think I would tell people for marketing is, like, when you first start writing, you're kind of just writing. You don't know. But before as you're refining that book, do it with the reader in mind, because we're not writing for us. We're writing for our reader, and we are not our reader. And that is a big thing to remember too, that things that may turn us off, like email lists, we don't like to, I don't want emails. I don't want people sending me emails. Well, that's not how your reader feels. If your reader signs up for your newsletter, they want to hear from you. That's important. And so because of that, you need to be sending an email regularly. And, as everyone will tell you, your email list is your most valued tool, because it is, I've sent out thousands of emails over the last almost 8 years. And every time I send out an email, I sell books every time. And so, and there are people that have been on my list since 2017. So you can't just assume because someone is on your email list or in your Facebook group that they've read all your books.
Yeah. People see things at different times, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
And so email plays a central role in what you do. So have you got any advice for anyone who's looking to grow their email list?
Yeah, I would say offer the best thing that I've ever done to grow my list is offer, like in romance, a second epilogue. So at the end of my first book, it's, the book ends. I don't put the end.
That's nice.
I tell people never put the end. You skip down you come down a space or two spaces. You can put a little scene break, like I do 3 asterisks sometimes, but sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just come down and it says at the end of the first book, if you want to know what happens to Scarlett and Gavin a year later, click here. It involves a hot rock star, a naked trip to the barn, and the Baptist preacher. And who's not going to click that? So they click. And to get that extra, and it is just a scene, it's a 1,500 word scene. To get that, they have to give me their email list. And they know that. I mean, it's clear. Yeah. And I use BookFunnel for that. Yeah. So I've used second epilogues. I've used deleted scenes. My deleted scenes have always done really well for growing my email list. And those are things we already have. Just if you delete something, never throw it away. Stick it in a folder, because you can use it later.
That's a really nice idea. I've never seen anyone use the deleted scenes, but you're given something extra that you're not getting anywhere else. So it's
And if you say, like for me in the book that I use it in, there's they talk about what happened at the wedding. Well, what? Oh, let's not talk about it. They allude to what happened to the wedding all throughout the book. And I had written it, but to use it, I would have had to do a pretty big flashback, and I don't like flashbacks, so I chose to take it out and just talk about it. And they eventually talk about some of what happened, but you get to see the whole thing in the deleted scene. So people really like that. Research material. I know a lot of historical authors will use research material, maps.
Mm-hmm.
What are some other things?
Well, I was going to say, like, for cozies, like recipes, if you give away recipes,
recipes,
or some people do like a little cookbook of different things from the stories.
Yeah.
For me, I've focused more on giveaways to get readers. And I mean, you could, do this at the back of the book too. You could drive people to a page where they can sign up, and you could have a continual giveaway. I did that for a while, where you could sign up and you could get being entered in this giveaway that I think once a month I was giving away the box set, ebook box set. But I've done a lot of like Goodreads giveaways, library thing giveaways, just to get the word out. So that's like more towards I was trying to draw people to the series. So once I had several books, I would do a giveaway and just give away book one for free to get people in and get them on my list.
Yeah.
In exchange, if you sign up for my list, you can get, a free download of this book. You can do that with a short story too. I did a short story for a while until I had more books in the series, because I did the same thing with, there's a little throwaway line about, well, Olive is very clever. She figured out that thing with Lady Sophia's sapphires. And so I have this little short story, Lady Sophia's sapphires, and it's kind of how, like, her first unofficial case, so people would read that in book one, and then they would think, oh, I want to get on the list. So I could use that as at the end of the book, for people to sign up to find out this story that wasn't included in the main story, or I could do it as a giveaway, in the beginning, to give them the short story to get them to buy the book.
Yeah.
And then later I just switched to giving away the book, because I feel like that's an even better giveaway, is if you give away a whole book.
Yeah. I have a free novella on my website that I give away for people to sign up as well. So if you go to my website, it says if you want a free book, then you can click here. And so to get it, they have to sign up. Well, I had a book that I didn't have a second epilogue. I was actually pretty sick of those characters by the time I finished, and I didn't want to write anything about them anymore. So I offered the free novella at the end of the book, because new people to me would not have seen that novella. And so it was just a way to use it in two places. So yeah, you can do that. I've done, the book funnel newsletter builders. Those are great too. I think that the readers coming from there are not just there for the freebie. They're pretty good. There are some others that we've used, but yeah. So I think that those are just good ways to get people on your list. And I will say this: so at the end of my book, you've got the, hey, go read this novella, and then right after that, no scene break, no nothing. Just, if you want to read the first chapter of the next book, click here, and it takes them, or keep reading. And so they can read the first chapter of the next book. And at the end of that, there's the buy link or the pre-order link for the next book.
Nice.
But if they click away and go read my second epilogue, they probably aren't going to come back to the book to read this first chapter. So at the end of my second epilogue, I have the first chapter of the next book with the pre-order link and buy link in that, so that they don't have to click back, but I'm still getting them to click that pre-order link, whether they go one place or the other. So
nice. It's like creating a little ecosystem.
Yeah, it is.
Ecosystem. Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
So something else that I find quite interesting is, rather than the idea of promoting books, is the idea of building your author brand. Because at the end of the day, it's you that are writing the books. It's the reader who sort of attaches themselves to yourself. So what do you think about this sort of idea of creating an author brand, and how would you recommend writers go about sort of developing that?
Well, this is what I say about brand. Your brand is the promise you're making your reader. And if your brand does not fulfill that promise, then you've let your reader down. So if I'm telling my readers that I write sexy, swoony, pee your pants funny, small town rom-coms, and I don't deliver that, then I don't know. I mean, then I've lost their trust and I've lost them as a reader. Yeah. So I feel like that is the first thing you need to remember, is that your brand is your promise. So whatever and if you promise this as an author, you deliver that in every book that you write. Now, does that mean you are stuck in one genre? Not necessarily, because I'm right now writing a book outside of rom-com. It's not even a romance. It's a women's fiction or maybe even a book club fiction book. But it is, it's Steel Magnolias and Dukes of Hazzard had a baby. This book would be that. So it's still funny. It's still swoony in some ways. It's still very emotional. And so I will have to change my kind of tagline branding, because I'm not going to change my name. No, I'm going to keep it under my name, because I think it's close enough that I still fulfill the promise of giving readers an emotional, funny book that kind of hits all the feels. So, but you need to think about that, and you just need to think about what is the promise you're making your reader. And then after you've decided what that promise is, you just fulfill it every time you write, and you fulfill it every time you write anything, a Facebook post, your newsletter, a social media, a TikTok or Instagram. All of those things should fall in line under that promise that you've made your reader.
Yeah, nice. It's a very good philosophy.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
I would add, you probably want to think about visuals. And I am not good at graphics and things like that. I took a course one time pretty recently. And one of the things that was so helpful to me was one of the exercises was make a list of words that describe your tone, your style, what you want to convey, and then find images that show that. And that was so hard, because, a word like for me, my books, I feel like they're puzzling, they're atmospheric, they're lighthearted, elegant. I want to appeal to that type of reader who wants that. And that's what my visuals had to show. And I found some images and I showed them, we were in like a Zoom thing, and the woman looked at them and she said, okay, these are too dark. If your books are lighthearted, and mystery, tends to they tend to have like a darker cast, or it's like got the crime scene tape and blood spatter. She's like, you want to go bright and light. And I was like, oh, okay. So once I understood that, then I could apply that even in my amateur efforts. And I could tell people who were creating graphics for me, it needs to be light and bright, and to show that that's the tone. And I think and I carry that across everything. So I've done the 1920s mysteries, and I've done a spin-off that's set in Egypt. Those are my most recent books. And they still have that really bright, colorful feel to them, even though they're a different main character. My readers will look at that and they'll go, okay, this is similar to what she's written before. Even though it's slightly different, it's still the same tone. And visually, it lets them, I think it makes them feel comfortable. So I think if you can figure out like what images and colors, perhaps shades, convey what you want, that can really help. And it helps when I'm creating something or looking at different things. I can go, okay, not this, not this, not this, but yes, this one. These are too dark. These are lighter. These are brighter. Let's go with these. I need that kind of A or B. Eliminate these to help me.
And things like that help give you guardrails as you're writing, because if you find yourself veering off and crashing through those guardrails to go darker or whatever, then you maybe one, haven't understood what what your brand is, and two, you might need to pull it back onto the road and get it between those guardrails again. So it can help you when you're writing.
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic bit of advice, and I've never tried, and it's something I am going to try, is to write that list of words and see if it matches the expectation.
See what you come up with.
Because I have a feeling mine's too dark as well.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, it can be dark if that's the kind of thing you're writing.
I do like dark fantasy, so that's okay. I get away with that a bit.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Jami and Sara. It's been absolutely fantastic chatting with you both, and you've shared some fantastic insights. It's all different sides of writing. It's ridiculous how much we've got to know.
Yeah, I know. It's terrible.
It's crazy, but it's nice to bring in the perspectives from other genres which are really popular at the moment, and to hear how you are adapting to sort of your readers' expectations, which they do change an awful lot. So it's fantastic, and thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Sure. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's been great.
Where's the best place to, if anyone wants to learn more about you and your books, where's the best place for them to go?
For me, I'm on Amazon. I'm in KU, and all my books are in KU on Amazon. My website is jamialbright.com, and that's JAMI, no E. So jamialbright.com. And I also do author consulting. So there's on my website, it says author consulting or author services, something like that. If you click on that, you can book a session with me. I'd love to help.
Very nice.
And my website is sararosett.com. It's just SARAROSETT.com. If you want to buy my books, I have a bookstore, which is sararosettbooks.com. If you're interested in the series book, that's available everywhere. I'm wide with all my books. So if you want 1920s books, if you want the How to Write a Series, that's available. It's also available in audiobook and also in libraries. So you can find it there, like in Hoopla or something like that. And don't forget the podcast, which I know then, where you can find us. So we have a lot of things where we're different, like Jami's in KU and I'm wide, and we talk about a lot of different things, different ways to do things, and the differences in writing our different genres. So that's what I do then.
Yeah, we talk to a lot of authors, very successful authors and authors that have just started out, about what they wish they'd known, and industry professionals about what they wish they'd known about working with authors. So
and what they wish authors knew about their platforms.
So
lots to learn. And like I say, it's nice to see the contrasting approaches, because you say the more experiments writers try and they test the waters to see what works, the more we all learn. And it's a great idea.
Yeah.
So thank you very much again.
You're welcome.